welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be doing quite a kind of like casual chatty video. I've not really planned it. I'm just gonna kind of go with the flow, but that's kind of what I want this video to sort of be. Also, side note, you're gonna have to excuse the makeup look. I didn't expect it to go this mad. I wanted to do something like graphic linery. I was on Insta Live and I just got a bit carried away, so it's got no correlation to the video at all. I just thought I would put that out there. So as you guys can probably tell from the title, I'm gonna be doing a little bit of like a mental health anxiety sort of chat today. The last time I actually spoke about mental health and anxiety was at the beginning of lockdown. So it was around March time, and obviously a lot has changed, and quite a lot of time has passed in that, and to be honest, how I feel and my mental state has changed a lot since that video, and not necessarily for the better. So I've been feeling just a bit down, and I was like, let me talk to you guys and kind of put it out there for like a topic of discussion, and we can all just kind of chat about the things that we're worried about or that's on our mind and that kind of thing. So I did brief you guys a little bit on Insta. It was a couple weeks ago now. I asked you guys what things you kind of have on your mind right now, or topics, general concerns that you would kind of like me to talk about. So kind of like an anxiety Q&A, I guess you could call this. So I'm going to kind of go through those things that you sent me as well, so we can have a bit more of like a back and forth chat rather than me just talking to you about how I feel and that's it, because there's a limit to how productive that's going to kind of be. Basically, like, I don't know, I've just been feeling a bit, I don't even know, do you know what, like, this is going to be really hard to articulate because I don't even understand myself, like, what's kind of going on in my head right now, but I guess that's kind of the whole point, isn't it? So my anxiety has been under control for, I would say, the past year and a half. That is roughly about when I stopped therapy, and I've been feeling so good since then. I figured out techniques that really worked for me, stuff like meditation and journaling, and like I read the Power of Now. If you guys haven't read it, I would 100% recommend it. It changed my outlook on so many things, anxiety and mental health related. Actually, do you know what? After I finish this video, I think I'm going to read a bit of that because I think that might really help. Anyway, on a tangent, that book helped me so much as well, and I would kind of go through it, annotate it, highlight bits, circle, kind of scribble all over it and reword things and try to sort of implement it in my daily life. And like all those things like required a lot of my energy and a lot of time. Like at the time, it's as if all my focus was just on that, about like trying to just grow and be able to pass that kind of mental hurdle. And that was a really difficult process. Like that period in my life was really hard because I felt like it was all I could think about. It was all anything was about was just about, how can I sort this out, how can I sort this out? Like it's like I just could not silence my mind. And eventually, through a long process of trial and error, I figured out these things that really helped, like the book and journaling and therapy and meditation. And then what I think kind of happened over time from then to now is that I got a little bit lazy. I got lazy and I got spoilt because I got used to not having to like think about my mental health, or not having to really prioritize it, because it was relatively plain sailing from there. Triggers that I had in my life had kind of been removed, and were no longer triggers that were present in my life. So it was great. I had addressed the issues that I had. There was no longer like constant triggers that were setting me off. So I was cool, I was chilling. Like it was the most controlled my anxiety and my mental health had ever been in my entire life up until now. And as I said, I just got lazy with it, and I took it for granted, I think, because I didn't continue with those techniques because I didn't feel like I needed them anymore. But I learnt my lesson now, because randomly, I think it's understandable because of Corona and lockdown and all of that. I think as I mentioned in my previous anxiety related video, which was more focused about kind of lockdown, it's understandable that right now everyone's instability is kind of heightened, and everyone's insecurities, everyone's concerns, worries, their low moments, everything is just heightened, and that is completely understandable and expected. And I think, as much as I keep saying that, and I know that, I feel like when it's about yourself, you kind of you forget that. You lose sight of the fact that you need to kind of be nice to yourself right now, because the whole world is going through it, and as detached as you may feel from that, by that I mean the fact that it's something that's affecting the entire world and maybe not having as much of like a direct impact on your emotions necessarily, it's still massive and it's gonna have a knock-on effect. And I think that like sometimes we're too hard on ourselves and we expect to not be fazed by things, and like I was like, yeah, okay, this is really shit what's happening in the world and it's gonna be a difficult time, but I couldn't really compare it to past triggers I've had in my life, which were, you know, more like targeted to me, whether it was like friend things, family things, relationship things. Like, because it wasn't a first-hand thing, I don't think I really gave myself enough slack with how much it was gonna affect me, or how much I needed to kind of just keep an eye on my mental health. And I think how I felt was at first, yeah, at the beginning of lockdown and quarantine and this whole pandemic, like at the very start of it, it was more so like, this is just a massive change to life and routine and just general lifestyle. It was more so that, which I think was on my mind, and that is a very that's a very superficial, if you like, way to look at it, because it was the only way that it had affected me at that point. And I think that's natural. I think I can speak for quite a few people in terms of viewing it in that way. And then as I kind of got used to being at home, like, do you know what, like the period of actual lockdown didn't actually bother me that much. After I adjusted at the beginning, which obviously was difficult for everyone, after I've got past that, I was actually in a really good place within myself and mentally, because that is when like success with this and like Insta and all of that started. I began to see like results for things that I've been working really hard for. So it was really rewarding, and like it was all new and exciting, and it was keeping me on my toes, and like it was just a lot going on which kind of filled that space. So it was kind of like a new way of working, a new routine, a new kind of lifestyle, but I was kind of thriving in it. So it didn't really faze me in a negative way that much. My life just became very centered around work. It was kind of like all work, no play, but I was fine with that, because work to me, like, I enjoy what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? So I didn't mind that, and I was good, and I was going for it, and everything was great. And then I wouldn't say that I'm no longer in that place, because I still am, and I still am so excited. I think that excitement for what I do would never really go, because I just love what I do, and I get so excited about the potential of, you know, like what this video can do, or like where I could be in this amount of time, and when I keep creating content for you guys, etc. That little like that light that I get from what I do will never be dimmed and would never go. So that's still there, that's still lit, and that's still kind of like strengthening me and holding it down. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of grounding me and keeping me sane. But I think that I got so comfortable with that, and I was putting all my efforts into that I almost kind of like burnt out a little bit. I went really hard really quick, and all my mental energy, all my physical energy, everything went into it. And now I feel like since lockdown has lifted, I've been finding it harder than before, which I think is a bit bizarre. I feel like most people kind of struggled more during lockdown rather than afterwards. I don't know, I feel like I began to notice little bad habits that I thought I had gotten over that started to come back. Like overthinking things, and like, I'm not going to go into all those habits because I have a whole video talking about it. My anxiety story, it's like an hour long. If you're curious, or feel like you could benefit, or if you're just nosy. It's like about an hour long, and I talk you through like from when I was a little kid until like until present day, pretty much how my anxiety has evolved and my mental health journey, basically start to present. And those things that I mentioned in that video that I had learned how to control have slowly been starting to creep back, and that scared me. It scared me a lot, because I was like, I had this sorted, I was past this point. Like, I think you guys will probably be able to relate to that feeling of when you've got a difficulty within yourself or within life, and then you feel like you've passed it, and then it kind of comes back and you feel like you've taken 20 steps back. And it's really disheartening when you feel like you had passed that hurdle, you know what I mean? And it is like a hard pill to swallow, to be honest, because you think that you think that that's something you no longer have to worry about and that you've learned from. But I think it's important to remember that it's natural for those setbacks to happen. They happen, and you've got to just like roll with the punches and like take each day as it comes. And it's not that once you sort something it's going to be sorted for life. It can creep back, old habits can come back, but it's about remembering how to implement those methods of control. So I learned all those things that really helped me like a year ago, and I slowly got lazy with them. And it's like, now that those things have started to come back, I need to learn how to put them back into practice. So I think that's kind of like, that's where I'm at right now. So I've been trying to silence my mind a little bit. I've been going back to meditation. I've done a little bit of journaling. I'm going to try and focus more of my mental energy towards correcting my mental well-being, because I don't want to neglect it and let it get as bad as it was before, because that was, I don't want to ever get back to that place. And to be honest, I don't think I ever will get back to that level of like having no control over my mind, because I've learned so much since then. But it has been a bit of a shock to the system, I think. Like, it kind of knocked me down a peg or two after so long of being fine. Things just triggering me. And you know what, like, you have to accept sometimes that triggers are going to come up, and I think triggers have come up in the last couple of months that I've not had for the last year and a half or whatever up until this point. And then on top of those triggers, there's obviously the situation that the world is in, and the idea of anxiety, which I'm sure a lot of us are feeling about going outside now that like the government are reinstating things. So I think I'm kind of confused as to why my anxiety has been sparked up, because I'm like, those triggers, yes, they are triggers, but they shouldn't be this deep. They shouldn't be getting to me this deep. But then when you think about it, when you actually sit and deep it, it's like, but hold on, the whole world has been turned upside down in the last few months. So like, it also makes sense. Do you know what I mean? It makes sense for us to be like extra on edge or extra sensitive or extra whatever. Like, it is logical. And I think we need to remember that, because the harder we are on ourselves, the worse our mental process is going to be. I don't think that we need that extra burden. You know what I mean? Anyway, sorry, this was really long. But I'm gonna get into the Q&A part of this video now. I've given you a bit of like an insight into where my head is at. I wanna just discuss a few of the things that you guys have been feeling, and kind of discuss it a little bit, see where we can get with that. Something that did kind of come up quite often was anxiety about health and anxiety about death. The fear of death, right? And I think that it's completely understandable for us to be having those kind of concerns and worries and feelings kind of triggered right now, because it's kind of like the world that we're used to right now is not in the state that we've known it our entire lives. And no one has ever really come across, like, no one in our lifetimes have ever experienced something like this. So I think when everything that you thought, if you just take the concept that everything that you once thought was safe and was fine, we are now having to question and rethink to be like, wait, but like, is it? Like, is it cool? Is it safe? Like, And then that kind of brings in that state of paranoia, and I think that can lead to things like, you know, the anxiety about health and anxiety about death and things like that, because I feel like it's been pushed down our throats right now that this is a very real possibility. But I think that it's so important to keep your mind away from thinking too dark in that subject, because if you think about it, yeah, this virus is something which is unfamiliar. It's unfamiliar to us as a race, right? As the human race, it's unfamiliar to us. That is why it's bringing us so much fear, because we don't know enough. We don't know about it. And I think as humans, we are used to knowing about quite a lot of life. Like, we have answers for so many things. We never have to deal with that anxiety of not knowing about many things, other than things like, you know, the afterlife and things like that. But like, there's a lot of things that we concrete know, you know, like we know the tea, we know exactly how it is. And this is something that's just kind of popped into our lives, and we don't know about it. We don't know enough about it, and we're still trying to learn, like. And I think that in itself is such a scary concept. But I think although this is something which obviously puts a lot of us at risk and means that we do need to be taking all of the necessary precautions, I think that if you're doing all the things that you need to be doing, everything that's within your power to be able to keep yourself and everyone else as well safe, it's important to try and just draw the line there. Because if you let your mind start to creep past that line and start to let those thoughts kind of get out of control and lead to paranoia, it's just you're going to be going down a black hole. If you think about it, like the chance of death and about, you know, like health taking a left turn can always be around the corner. Not to make anyone feel any worse, but in the lives that we've always lived up until now, we never, that could have happened to any of us. Do you know what I mean? Like, it could have happened, yet we're still here fighting another day. But this thing has come and it's unfamiliar, which is why it's kind of making us shake even more. But if you think about it, like, people can get harmed or die from things that are in our kind of like everyday life a lot, like in ways that we don't let our mind overthink. But because it's something which is so irregular and unfamiliar, our minds are just running with it. So I think it's important to remember that there is only so much that is in your control, and if it's not in your control, you need to let it go from your mind. And that can be applicable to so much. If it's not something that you can control, thinking about it and worrying about it is not going to make anything any better. It's not going to ease the burden. It's not going to make any difference. It's just going to put your mind through it, and that's going to have an effect on your body. And another thing to keep in mind is, with the fear of health and death and things like that, your mental state makes such a big difference on your physical health. If you are constantly like in your own head and you're worried and you're driving yourself like to paranoia and just very, very unhealthy like mental habits, you're weakening your immune system, you're making yourself more susceptible. So without putting pressure on yourself, it's important to just try and breathe, take a deep breath, and try to just look at it for what it is. Do everything that you can that is in your power, and after that you need to just keep living. Like, you need to just be able to live your life and not let this set you back. Because a fear of something happening, that thing may not happen for years and years and years, but you will let years go by of perfectly fine, happy life, and you will waste it by not being happy, but by worrying about that thing which is way in the future and may not even be written in your path, and you're worrying about it and you're missing out on all these years in between where you could be at peace and you could be enjoying your life and just kind of living. And I know it's easier said than done, it takes a lot of time and a lot of practice, but I would definitely recommend meditation, because I feel like it just helps to rationalize your mind and your thoughts in general. Sorry, I know I went into a lot of detail with that one, but I think that it's very relevant for right now, and a lot of you guys did mention it, so I wanted to make sure I covered that one. Another question I got is, what helps you with bad mental health days? So I did kind of mention them earlier, but I'll just go through it again. Meditation is probably the top of my list. There's sometimes when I'm doing something, yeah, and even like I'm watching, imagine I'm just in bed chilling and I'm watching a show on Netflix, but there's stuff kind of that's bothering me at the time. I noticed I do this thing where I actually pause the show, then I just kind of stop. Or even music, if I'm just listening to music and vibing, I do this thing where I just pause it and I stop. I feel like I need silence to think. Does anyone else get that? When I get that, that's when I'm like, you need to meditate, girl. Like, this is showing you, I kind of needed to silence the things which are ordinarily relaxing because my mind was doing a bit of a madness. So meditation, I think, is the top. Sometimes I need to just think things through in a very calm, collected, like rationalized kind of state, and it just helps to kind of press reset. So that is my top. If you want to know how I meditate, I will link the video in the bottom, in the description box. I made the video, I think it was about a year ago, maybe 2, and it's still the same technique that I use to meditate, so definitely check it out. It has helped me through the roughest of times. Another thing that I do is journaling. So I will just write down whatever is in my mind, like whatever I'm thinking about or concerned about or anything, like I just write, I just journal. It can be absolute rubbish, bullshit, but like no one's gonna read it. It's for myself, it's like a venting mechanism. And I think that sometimes putting it down on paper just lays it all out and it makes it less like jumbled in your mind, and that really helps me when I'm having a bad day. And another thing is just doing stuff that I love, like doing things that I find really cheers me up. Like the other day I was feeling a bit so I got my speaker out and I literally just connected it to my Spotify and I was playing bangers. Best believe I was high-key dancing around the house and I was just living my best life because I just wanted to. And when I tell you, I had the best day ever because it felt so good. It felt so healthy and so good. And like, I think that moments like that are things that as an adult especially kind of get taken away from you and they're less considered the norm. But like, why? Like, why does it have to be? I feel like we need to do those things to kind of give ourselves a mental health check. Like, it just releases so much stress, and I think it's important to do stuff like that. Just things that make you happy, even if it's not like music. Like, another thing I'll do is art. Like, you guys know art is my passion, right? So I will do some art and it makes me feel good. I will like, do you know what I mean? Like, do something that brings you happiness ordinarily and prioritize that. Prioritize that. Don't think like, oh, but I've got so much other stuff to do. I really can't, I can't take half the day out to just dance around my house playing music out of my speakers. But that actually is important. Like, it's important to take that time when you need it. It doesn't matter what you do in that time. If it's something that helps you, then that is what needs to be prioritized. Okay, what else? We've got a few which are quite specific. Things like cheating / entanglements. If you know, you know. Another one that we've got is dealing with a breakup and healing. Broken families, post-uni depression, getting over an ex. So there are a few here which are more specific topics, and I don't want to rush them. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that's something I'll give a couple lines about and I'll be like, yeah, covered that, you're good. They're things that I'm going to do specific videos about, but as I've seen that it's things that are on your guys' mind now, I will bring them a bit. I'll bring them up a bit. So I will film these in the next few weeks. They are topics that I was planning on talking about anyway, but I think also because I'm in a bit of an anxiety state right now, it will kind of make me feel better to sort of talk about this with you guys and be open about it anyway. So I'll definitely like get on that in the next couple weeks. But one thing I will say, which is very generic, is just regardless of what kind of feelings you're feeling right now, whether it's anxiety, whether it's depression, whether it's any form of mental health struggle that you're dealing with right now, keep your eyes on the future. Keep your eyes on the future and remember that this is temporary, and it will pass. It may take some energy, it may take some effort, it may take some time, but the point is, this is just a period in your life. If your life is this long, it's tiny. It's just this bit right now. And you can push through it, and you will push through it because there is an end point to that. And once you push past it, you're in the clear and you're back to living life and loving life. They happen, but you know what? Those bad days are what make you appreciate the good days. And otherwise you won't feel your highs without the lows. So they come, but sometimes you just need to roll with the punches. And I know how much easier it is to say it. You are good and you've got this. Sometimes you literally just need to stop, look in the mirror and be like, sis, you you've got this. Like, you have got this. You've got it under control. You're gonna get it under control. Just try and stay focused on where you're trying to get to, and you will get there. Push through, and you will grow from this. It feels like a shit time, and it is a shit time, and we all go through those shit times. But do you know what? Once you're past it, it's gonna feel even sweeter. Like, it's gonna feel even better once you have overcome this hurdle. You're gonna be stronger for it. You're gonna appreciate the small happy things in life even more than you did before. So it will all be worth it, and it will make your quality of life in general feel so much richer once you've overcome a hard time. So without waffling and babbling anymore, I'm gonna end this video here. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I know it didn't have that much of like, it wasn't like a standard video, it didn't have that much structure, etc. I just wanted to come and sort of just speak my mind. And you know what, I actually feel so much better after this video. So I really hope that you guys feel better as well after hearing it. But thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all so much. Stay strong, you got this, you got this. Stay positive, stay happy, stay creative. I love you guys so much, and I will see you next time. Mwah. Bye guys.